What's up, people? Welcome to PicklerPodZ PPZ. I'm Ninad Kulkarni, and today I have a very exciting guest with me. He's a content creator too. He has a podcast of his own, and we both make content. We have known each other for quite some time through Pickleballer Sayo, of course. What's up, Tyler?
What's up, Nina? Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited for this.
For sure. I knew that you were gonna be on my show the day I saw pickleballers.io. That's like the most amazing thing I've ever seen happen to pickleball.
Hey,
So would
that's
you mind giving us a little backstory about it?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in pickleball for a few years. I've worked at Gearbox, Selkirk, and the Dink. And I just wanted to create an app and a website that was strictly for the pickleball community. So a social media site dedicated to pickleball only. So imagine going on X or IG, and instead of having everything on your feed, it's just pickleball content. I think this helps promote the community and the sport. I think it's great for people that want to talk pickleball, want information on it, just at like one place to house all of the conversations. So the website's out now. The app's coming out soon. I personally love the app. I think it looks spectacular. Website looks much better than it used to. So we're making a lot of progress on everything. And ultimately, we want to hear back from the pickleball community. If they have input, suggestions, we want to hear back. We want to make something that people actually think is helpful for pickleball.
I've been using the website for quite some time. It's like the second best thing which I use on my phone after the calling app, I guess. It's always up on my phone.
That's awesome.
And
That's
it's
good to hear.
so amazing. People are sharing their stories. There is always new stuff coming in, and we get to know what's actually happening in the pickleball world from, I think, the ground level, the root level. That's just amazing, and I really like thank you for making this for us.
Cool. That's awesome. So we're coming out with I'm not sure when this podcast released, but version 2 of our website is coming out on Monday, the 30th, October 30th. So that the mobile site and the desktop looks so much better. There's a lot more features. Let me know what you think. I think it looks pretty good right now with version 2. So definitely look for that.
I need to get to some work to upload this as fast as possible. Then.
Yeah, no problem, man. But yeah, once we do upload it, I'd love to have it on there. I think you're gonna like what you see.
Oh yeah, for sure. What I have observed on pickleballers.io is that there is a lot of MLP stuff going on because MLP is just so interesting. There is always drama going on, there is always stuff going on. The merger, the demerger, people fighting on courts. There are like taunting and stuff going on in matches. What do you think about it? How's MLP doing in general?
I'm a huge fan of MLP. I mean, I think it's exciting to see one teams. It's a very competitive atmosphere. There's different matchups that we haven't seen before. For example, Ben playing with Eric or Tyson playing with Federico. Like that's cool. That's exciting. That's different. I'm curious to see what they do next year, how many events they want to hold, and then how the free agency is going to work or the presumed free agency. So I'm excited for the last two events this year, Dallas and then San Clemente, but very curious to see what they do next year. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about MLP? Do you like it over PPA?
Over PPA, I highly doubt that because call me orthodox, but I like the way, like to see a tournament the way it is supposed to be played. MLP is super fun. It's great for revenue generation too. But like from my personal perspective, I enjoy PPA a little bit more. But
Why
PPA
do,
is getting
why
boring
do you
to
enjoy PPA more?
because like I've stopped enjoying PPA now because Ben Jones is like winning everything. He's basically the Max Verstappen of pickleball now. There is one spot reserved for him, and you can't do anything about it. You just have to fight for the silver now.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I would say, yeah, that's certainly the case, especially for men's doubles, mixed doubles as well. But singles, he's not as dominant. So I guess it's kind of fun to see men's singles to see who's going to win.
Yeah, for sure. Frederico beats him. Anik Lohani, like
Yeah.
almost
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot of amazing talent. And I think that talent pool is just only getting more stacked. as more tennis players, college tennis players come over, they get good at singles really quickly, and then their doubles, kind of follows that. But yeah, I think men's singles is pretty exciting.
What do you think about Jack Song, the like one of the biggest tennis players turning into pickleball?
I mean, I'm very interested to see how many events he plays next year. It was exciting seeing him in, I think it was North Carolina earlier this year. Played with Tyson. They didn't do that good. His men's
Mhm.
singles, I think he lost to Andre Mick or maybe
It
somebody
was
else.
okay, not the best.
Yeah, and then but in mixed doubles playing with Annalie, Jack looked spectacular. I mean, he rips his forehand, a lot of movement. His first steps tremendous. So I'm excited to see what he does next year. And if he's going to play on an MLP team, a lot of options. I'm interested. You think he's going to play MLP?
If he plays MLP, it's going to be great for him. Like he'll be back into action. He'll be on the news all over again. He'll be the trending topic in pickleball and to a certain level tennis also. But my only concern is that like when last time he made his debut with Tyson and Annalie, it was like a pretty big deal for us pickleball players. But I didn't see the same energy coming in from him. It was basically like just playing it for an experience for him. Even
Yeah, you mean
his
as far
nerd
as like
ideas and
tennis?
pickleball, but
What do you mean
not
energy?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like energy, I'll say the willingness to participate, the willingness to win. Like I just didn't get the same vibe from him the way I do from Tyson McFinn or Ben Jones, like a core pickleball player and truly interested in playing. I know these
Hmm.
are just words for someone, but those are my feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I suppose he maybe doesn't get as fired up, but I think there was a lot of competitive spirit that he had. But hmm, yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily remember that, but I mean, if you say it, I'm sure there's some truth to that. But it'll be interesting to see what he does next year for sure.
Which team are you betting on to win MLP this year? I was counting on the fives last year, but I totally lost it. Who do you think will get the trophy this year?
Do you mean like the super final
Yup,
at
yup,
the
yup.
end? Yeah. I mean, it's just so hard to bet against Ben. Chicago Slice, I really like their team. Squeeze looked good. I think who was it? I think Tim Parks was on a podcast recently and he said, yeah, he was for the SoCal Hard Eights, and he was saying that it's the best way to pick a team is to basically pick somebody in the third round or the fourth round that you think will eventually be like a first round or second round pick. And he talked about CJ Klinger doing that. So I
Hmm.
think some teams that have tremendous value are Orlando Squeeze, where they pick Rachel and they pick her in the later rounds, but she's a heck of a player. And now it's looking like that pick has a lot of value. Tyra Black's the same way, where I think they took her in the third rounds, and she looks like that has more value. So I think those teams are probably, have a great chance. Obviously, Orlando won the first one, so I think Orlando has a great chance of at least being in the super final. Man, I think Ben gets it done. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but I think Ben gets his mixed match, his men's doubles match, and I think those ladies could get their women's doubles match. But what do you think?
I see what you did here. You laid out a pretty good base, making it all interesting and stuff, but at the end, Ben gets it again.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to look at all the teams again and really look at them in depth and figure out
Mhm.
what if I would stray away from Ben, but it's just so hard to bet against him. I mean, if you look at last season's MLP, he lost
I guess you're muted, Tyler.
him back. Does this sound okay?
Yeah, 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 it's better. It's good.
So I think season one, Ben loses the first event, but wins the second, wins the third. Didn't win the super final, and I think they were just saying that it was too many matches at once. Like the back to back really hurt them. But I think that it's just hard to bet against him when after that experience comes in of playing with Eric after the first event. I think that he finds a way to get it done in Dallas. That's what I think
Yeah, of course, like Ben John's clearly the goat of pickleball.
for
We
sure.
can always count on him getting the trophy, getting the first spot, getting the pole. Always, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Orlando, and I think they can absolutely do it again. They didn't lose a match last MLP, so yeah, I think it's possible.
So the most probable winner will be Ben Johns, and after that, a whole team, one man against a whole team.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I have pretty much.
Yeah,
I
okay,
mean, that's
that's
how good he is. That's how good he is.
for sure, for sure. Uh,
Who do you
so
think?
me, I personally am counting on the Orlando, of course, because all the players that I see are basically the type of players who will seize a match. If you see like Zin's performance in the PP or APP, you can see him seizing a good match. You can see him making a good play, but he's not the like always on the podium, right?
Sure.
So he has the mentality to seize a match. Even if we have not seen the best of him on the podiums or in the finals, I think he has a great sense of play, and he can definitely lead the Orlando. And of course, you have Anna Bright, so there's no question in women's.
What do you think about DC pickleball team? Riley Newman, Christian Alshon, and the Kawamotos.
I think DC Pickleball could have hyped their team better, made pretty good content out of themselves, and created a better version of themselves because they have such great players. Riley Newman, Chris Olsen, and both of them are gelling well. They're doing well on the court. I've seen it, and it's basically the dream pair you can see. Two players, not the best ones, I'll say, and you don't expect them to play together, but they did good. They did
Sure.
pretty good, I'll say. So yeah, they could have done better, and I think we'll see like the better of them in the coming MLP.
Yeah, I mean, they lost in this final, so I don't know how. I mean, yeah, I guess they could have done better, but I mean, they did pretty good, I think.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so let's steer the conversation a little bit. Both of
Sure.
us are content creators. So how's your journey been as a content creator? There is a lot of thriving for us guys. There are a lot of big names up,
Sure.
and we are just trying to beat them. So how's been your experience being in the content creation now?
I mean, I think first and foremost, content creation has been very fun. Um, I I just like talking about pickleball. I think the most. I mean, it's really fun having on different guests on the podcast, talking about them, picking their brain a little bit. And I think I even discover, I mean, it's a learning lesson for me too. Like just when I had Andre Diascu down in on the podcast, he was talking about his mindset or his mentality in certain moments of MLP. So I think that was like super interesting. And then having Shay Underwood on, he taught me more about content creation, along with some other content creators that I've had on or pickleball pros. So I think that's the one really unique thing about it is that it's a learning experience and all these different people have so much knowledge in different ways. They have so many unique perspectives. So I think that's been super fun. I think I'm interested in exploring more authentic content, I would say. So I think there's helpful content, and I do want to provide helpful content as far as tip videos or things like that. But I think there's more authentic tip videos that I can also talk about too. I think we want pickleballers, the content that we create to be educational and fun. And so I think there's an educational aspect that we create that's really helpful tip videos for the majority of players. But I think there's also discoveries that I have recently on the court that I would like to talk more about, on either long content or just short clips. But that's what I want to focus on, I suppose, as I continue this content journey.
Well, I also had Shay Underwood on my podcast, and we, I think, talked a pretty similar thing to this. We discussed that basically content creation we categorized it into two types. One is entertainment, and one I think with something which will be productive. Let's say you'll get an output from it.
Sure.
So I've been trying to make entertainment, but somewhere there is a drive which is pulling me towards making tip content because as you play, you're going to learn a lot and
Sure.
you want to share it.
So, as far as tip content, I mean, who is your audience? Where are you from?
I'm from India. We
Where in
have,
India?
I don't think you'll know, it's Aurangabad, Maharashtra, probably near Mumbai. That will be better.
Okay, sure, sure. Everyone knows that place, it seems like. Okay, how far away?
Around 300 kilometers. I don't know how much that will be in
Oh,
miles.
sure. Yeah. Okay. It's like 200 something, 220 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as far as like, I guess your audience or tip videos, I mean, I think that would be super helpful because you probably have like a lot of just people that live around you, or maybe people even in India that follow you, right?
Yeah, we have a pretty good like pickleball base here, people who want to learn. And of course, the 35 plus guys who are just into pickleball now. They have just one passion. Uh, that's a great audience to target. I have experienced that. I've learned that.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. Like tip videos, I think are cool too because they really just help people get better. And I think that's one of the unique things about pickleball that's maybe different than other sports is that we all play pickleball. Where if I watch American football on TV or basketball, I mean, I'm a pretty big basketball fan, American football fan. I don't play those sports. I don't want to get better at those sports. So obviously, tip videos don't make sense. But the cool thing about pickleball is everyone plays. So having tip videos, something that especially as your community might be a little younger and it's growing, or maybe it's not. Maybe pickleball's been there for a while. I'm not too sure, but tip videos are great to just help people improve their game. And I think everyone wants to get better.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So
No,
how would you describe your pickleball community as far as the people that are playing? Is it people that have just been playing for years, or is it kind of a younger community?
that might get controversial, but I'll put it this way. So we pickleball is obviously growing at a rapid pace in India. We are having tournaments with like huge prize monies,
That's cool.
and we have the greatest quality of players, I'll say, probably after America in
Wow.
terms of pickleball.
Right on.
But somewhere we are lacking in the quantity of players. We are not able to bring up the numbers. We are not able to have much participants, but the quality of players outstanding for sure.
Wow. Okay. So what do you think's lacking as far as bringing more players into the sport?
I think it's not something which is being done wrong by any particular pickleball association organization or like all the pickleball community altogether. We have seen many sports coming in India and they have not done their best, like tennis. Tennis had a pretty good shot in India. We still have a huge tennis audience here. But the problem is that they were not able to execute it. We have great talent over here. They were not able to execute it. We had pretty good going in basketball, in soccer. There are many sports, even paddle to a certain extent, but it lacks somewhere that we are not able to execute it rightly. But I'm pretty sure that pickleball is going to change that. And
What do you
yeah,
mean execute?
execute, I'll say probably better management. I don't know if you know, but cricket is huge in India.
Yeah, yeah, I do know that.
Like
There's this
India was,
one guy, I was following this one guy on Instagram. I can't remember his name, but he must be like one of the most famous cricket players in the world because he had like 200 million followers on Instagram, and I've never heard of him. I'm like, wow, who is this guy? Like, I gotta follow him because even like some of our best athletes in states, like they have far less reach than 200 million followers. So I was pretty fascinated. So, but yeah, I understand cricket's huge in India.
I'll just say it's just the management a little bit that we are lacking. But else, yeah, great quality of players though.
That's
And
cool.
players also are getting opportunities too. We just had Rob Nandri over here. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know him personally.
Oh, okay, not personally, but he's pretty good player.
Yeah, yeah, he's a very good player.
Yeah, so he had a clinic in India.
That's cool. Where in India?
Mumbai, of course.
No, right
Mumbai
on.
is, I'll say, the pickleball capital of India for sure.
Okay,
We have the biggest Asian pickleball facility in Mumbai in India,
okay, right on.
dedicated to pickleball.
And how
Pretty good
many
player.
courts is that?
I'm not sure about the number. It's definitely above 10 or something like that.
That's pretty good. Right on. So as far as management, like you said that the management is lacking with pickleball or with other sports at one time. What do you mean, like just court management and getting more court time or court, like what do you mean by management, I guess?
Management, I'll say, not court management and court timing. In a bigger perspective, I'll say, giving the opportunity to players. That's the first thing. Because when there is a sport introduced in India, if you know ATP, the tennis tour, so it's
Yeah.
basically handled by the tennis players themselves.
Oh,
They are the ones who are at the top of the chain. They
okay.
hire some guy and they are like, here you go. We have a schedule. You're going to follow it. You're going to give us the balls. You're going to organize everything. We are going to play in it. And both of us are going to make money. That's how
Okay.
it works in tennis business internationally.
Gotcha.
And that's basically adopted, I think, in almost every sport, but not in Indian pickleball yet.
Okay.
I think there will be a time pretty soon that we do that. I think it's crucial for any sport to have that a player-run organization because the root of any sport in the end is just the players who make it a sport, who make it huge.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah, it's just important to give more importance to the players. It's pretty vast and pretty deep. I'll need to make a whole different episode to make you understand the Indian pickleball scene.
Sure.
To put it in one word, I'll say it's complicated.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, hey, if you ever want to talk Indian pickleball, I'm ready for it. So if we got to do another episode, I'm ready to talk about that because I'm curious.
For sure, we're going to do that. I'm going to have
Cool.
you again. I'm going to trouble you very much.
Right on. Right on.
Okay, so how about we talk about paddles? Like
Sure.
few minutes ago, the pickleball studio, Chris Olsen, he just posted a video, and I don't know if you saw the thumbnail. It said that the Lux Air is good, and there was a huge but.
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't check out the video. Did you look at it?
No, I didn't go through the video either. But I was like, why is there a so big but? It's the
Oh, that's
Lux Air, possibly
well,
the
they're good.
most paddle after 006. People were like going craving for it in India because Ron Nandri bought it and some players tried it and they just overhyped it in India at least. The
Is it
prices
the
are,
006?
no, not the 006. I'm talking about the Lux.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that the Lux was super hyped in India.
Yes, it was.
Okay, okay.
And here comes Chris Olson with a big ass butt.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm curious. I'll watch the video later, and I'm curious to know what he thinks about it. But at the very least, it could just be clickbait, just to get you to click the video and take a look at it. There might not be a big but there could be.
But there could be a but. Okay, fine. So you use a gamma paddle yourself? How's it
No,
been?
I've been using the Selkirk Power Air. I
Oh my
like
god.
it, but I don't love it. I used to love Gearbox, and then I got a job at Selkirk, so I kind of switched all of my stuff over from Gearbox to Selkirk, and I like their stuff, but I don't love it. I don't know why. I can't exactly describe it, but when I played with the Gearbox, the G5, I thought that was spectacular, and I'm super excited to try Gearbox's new paddle, the Pro Series. I
Mhm.
think it sounds from everything that I've heard, everyone's talking about it, and it sounds like that paddle is supposed to be phenomenal. I mean, every paddle kind of talks about giving you the most power, but still the touch. Like that's everyone's claim to fame, but it really sounds like Gearbox might have just done that with this paddle, where extending the power with somehow miraculously still allowing for touch. And I've always been a big Gearbox fan because of their core, and they really do seem innovator. They do seem like innovators. I mean, even their slogans like innovative to the core, and I really like that. Um, so yeah, I'm super excited to try that battle, and I like that it's not honeycomb. I mean, nothing
Yeah.
against honeycomb, but I've seen the honeycomb making process, or at least some of it, and it's they just take like a big sheet of honeycomb and they just cut out the paddle shape. So yeah, I know there's technology that goes into gluing the edge to it or the face to it, but I like how Gearbox really has something very unique. Doesn't mean that it performs better necessarily, but I just like the idea that it's not a cutout.
So you have worked at Selkirk and the Dink too.
Yeah, I
How was
just
your
worked at.
experience?
Sorry.
How was your experience working there? What have you learned? Like, just give me a glimpse of it.
Sure, I would say with both companies, I loved working for both companies. Selkirk, an amazing team, amazing ownership group. They really put the power in my case, in the employees, but it sounds like they do the same thing for players. They really support their players. They're coming out with, I think they already launched it, like an upcoming pro program that gives
Mhm.
upcoming pros some money, which I think is great. So tremendous support system there, big team effort. Everyone wants to be there. They really take care of their employees. In the Dink, I've had nothing but great experiences there as well. I was a writer there, and I mean it was just great to be in that circle that'll talk about upcoming pickleball news. Or at the Dink, they know a lot of stuff that they know a lot of inside information. So being there, I don't think I got all the inside information, but I got more than I would have if I wasn't there. So that was a super cool experience, and I like what they're doing for pickleball. I mean, they're ultimately, I think, yes, they're trying to make money, but they're really trying to promote the sport, and I want this sport to succeed. I think that I want it to succeed recreationally and professionally. That's part of our mission at Pickleballers. But I think the Dink is doing something similar. They ultimately want pickleball to succeed. I mean, they're just big pickleball fans, which is great.
So are we gonna see pickleballers go against the Dink in maybe like coming months?
No, I don't think that we're competitors. I think that there might be competitors out there somewhere in the future, but I think what we're doing is pretty unique, and we ultimately want everyone to win. Like I think when pickleballers gets more users and the platform's a little more developed, which I think we're extremely close to that, there's going to come a point where the Dink is going to be on pickleballers. The kitchen will be on pickleballers. I think at some point, all these content creators, you will see more and more of them go on to pickleballers, kind of like what Twitch did with esports. I think now, for if
Mhm.
you're a gamer, like you have to be on Twitch. And we really think that the same exact thing is going to happen with pickleballers. And it's a great opportunity to hop on. It has unique features that are strictly pickleball features while still having the pickleball audience. Like I really like the forum on Facebook. It's called Pickleball Forum, but
Mhm.
the thing that's not great about that, which it's no one's fault, but just the thing that's not great is sometimes you're in conversations or you're looking at content that you didn't necessarily subscribe to or you don't know anyone. So for example, somebody will say like, hey, if I serve it and the ball hits the kitchen line, is it in or is it out? And I think that's a good question, especially for somebody that wants to know. I had that
Mm,
same question many years ago, but if it's not my friend, I would probably be less inclined to answer that question or to engage with that, where I want to either engage with my friends or engage in conversations that are geared more toward my pickleball outlook or my level. Like I want to engage in 4550 conversations or 55
mm,
conversations. Like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. This is how I fixed it. Like I want to engage in those conversations. So I think what pickleballers does is it allows you to follow the people that you want to follow. It's going to have a huge audience at some point, and you're going to be able to engage in those conversations. There's also an explore option where you can look at new conversations or trending. So I think that's kind of the evolution of our community and in a part of the future of this sport.
mm-hmm. Pickleballers is gonna be, I think, bigger than the kitchen and the dink. It's just a prediction from me, not overhyping or anything, but just a prediction. The way I have used it, the way I have seen people use it, it's just spectacular and like it's the apple of pickleball, I'll say.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about pickleballers and our mission too is we want everyone to participate. We want everyone to kind of win in being able to be on a platform that encourages those types of discussion that's geared just for pickleball. I think what the Dink does is great. I enjoyed being there. I like reading some of their stuff. They promote the sport, they provide news, but no one really engages in the conversation there unless it's like an Instagram post or um, I mean, sometimes I would say they're reasonably active on X, but some of their core posts or core articles, it's not a conversation. It's just a piece on trending news. And I think what makes that special is when more and more people engage in the conversation. I think that's what's unique about pickleball. That's one of the cool things about being on the pickleball court is that you get to meet all these people, talk about a whole bunch of stuff. They all like talking about pickleball, but if the ding posts news, it's not necessarily geared toward discussion, which isn't bad, but that's something that we really want to focus on.
I get you. Uh, so let's steer the conversation again in another lane. What
Sure.
about MLP versus PPA versus APP? It's like pretty much MLP and PPA is the same thing now. But how do you think APP is going to survive in this? Because I don't see much hope for them. What do you think?
I think that the APP is pretty resilient, so I think they're always finding ways to keep up with their business plan, I suppose, or still stay alive, stay afloat. I mean, I think they're extremely resilient. So I would imagine it's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen next year, but I would imagine that some of the top pros continue to play on the APP tour, like Susanna Barr, Andre Descu, some other players, maybe Megan Fudge, Ryler DeHart. So I think there's still going to be the APP tour, which has top level talent like the players I just named, and then also kind of brings in that new generation of talent. And I think the APP also wants to expand globally. I think they sponsored a tournament in India, right?
Yes, they did.
And then they're working hand in hand with some tournaments in Australia. So I think they're going to continue to broaden their global expansion. But I do think there's still a market for them in the US. I think it's going to be kind of like a minor league pickleball, but I think they're still going to be top level pros. I mean, I had Roscoe Bellamy on my podcast recently. He's an up and coming guy, former UCLA tennis player, and he's been on the APP tour. And I think for some of those guys, it's better to be on the APP tour because you're going to have the competition's not as good. So you could have longer runs, but ultimately you're going to get more tournament practice, which I think is huge. And you have more of an opportunity to win. So I still think that there's the APP tour exists next year and does exactly what it did this year. I could be wrong. I mean, we'll see what happens with the contracts, I suppose. But I still think that there's opportunity for the APP. What do you think?
Uh, the way we see it from India, at least the way I see it, what I have observed, not much APP going on. That's just the way I'll put it. Not much APP going on. No one, like, even if you are watching APP, you don't know half the players. If you're watching
Sure.
PPZ, you surely know the draw. You surely know the players.
Sure.
You would even be knowing the paddle they use.
Right, right.
But I'll say I'm not able to relate to the players. I don't know their history. I don't know which was the last APP event. So I think APP has, of course, a top level talent, but just a little nudge that they need to work on. And of course, if they are planning to expand globally, I think it would be better because they'll be thinking of a long run like that, uh, unlike PPI and MLP who are just concentrating on the American pickleball. Talking about American pickleball, what's the USAPA's stand on the MLP and PPA thing going on? Because I'm not at all sure about that. I want to hear a little bit about that from you.
Sorry, did you say USAPAs or
The USA Pickleball Association. I'm not sure
I
about
don't know what
acronym.
their position is at all. I have no clue. And I don't know how much they're involved in pickleball anymore. I mean, I know they still put on tournaments and they're still kind of the governing body as far as rules go. They have nationals and a couple other tournaments, but um, yeah, I really don't know too much about USAPA to be honest.
I think they have started to fade a little bit because there was a point of time I remember when the Margaritaville sponsored Minto US Open was the biggest tournament in pickleball. Everyone was hyped for it,
Yeah.
but I don't think much players even played it uh, last season.
No, there was like a little bit of a dispute as far as the US Open. I think I don't know exactly what happened, but it sounded like the PPA gave players the option to play that tournament, and I don't think that they were going to pay them. They just gave them the option. They voted on it, and I think because they weren't going to get paid, they decided that they didn't want to play it. I know some players wanted to play it, but however the voting worked, I don't know if it was just a majority decision or if they just talked to the top 20 pros on PPA Tour. But as an organization, PPA ultimately decided to not allow their pros to compete there. But I still think the US Open is a heck of a tournament. I mean, the turnout is outstanding, and they really create an environment there of just pickleball and fun. I think what the PPA does is create just strictly a pickleball environment. And it's kind of same with MLP, although I think there's more fan interaction at MLP, but the PPA is kind of getting there. But US Open has like so many pickleball fans. They really create like an environment for just hardcore pickleball players. So I think that's pretty unique. I think that's cool there. Like they create a party and then pickleball's almost like I don't want to say it's in the background, but it's the environment and pickleball feel equal there. And I think that's pretty cool at the US Open.
Enough talking about pickleball now. I want to hear about Tyler Irvin.
Sure.
What's his story? How he got into pickleball, and just his background a little bit.
Sure, right on. Well, I am 28 years old. Had my birthday earlier this month or October. Maybe this is going to come out in November. I'm not sure. And it's I have a pretty interesting. Well, what do I want to say? I'll tell you how I got into pickleball. I'm just kind of rambling there. So
Yeah.
I started pickleball about 6 or 7 years ago. I was playing, or I wanted to play tennis, and I wanted to play doubles just because I think it's easier as a beginner and it's fun to play with your friends. So I tried to play tennis, and it was always difficult to get three other people to join me, but it wasn't impossible. So maybe once a week we were able to get together. The first time was terrible, second time was still pretty bad. But one of my friends kept on showing up late, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And at some point, I'm like, dude, like we're all here on time. We're all trying to play, and we're waiting for you every time that we want to play. So I think I got pretty frustrated one night and I'm like, I'm not playing tonight. and we all decided to leave. And then my buddy's like, hey, let's try that sport that's next to tennis. So he's like, I think it's called pickleball. So we went to the store, we bought wooden pickleball paddles, and we went back to the pickleball courts. We hopped on the court, didn't know what to do, and the community was like extremely welcoming. They taught us how to play, taught us the basic rules, the concepts. We came back the next morning, played a little more, broke one or two wooden paddles. So now we only have two left. And then quickly we bought kind of like the intermediate paddles, which I wish I would have just gone into like a nicer paddle, but got like an intermediate paddle, played for that for like 6 months to a year, got an engage. And that's kind of how I started playing pickleball. That was 6 or 7 years ago. I must have been like 22. And then I would play all the time. I would play at night. I used to work in the mornings from like 4 to 10. So as soon as I got off work, I would go play pickleball. I mean, I was obsessed with it, played all through college. Yeah, and I still play maybe 2, 3 times a week. I still love it. Love hanging out with my friends when I play, talking about pickleball. I mean, it's the people that I've met. Like I'm going to a Halloween party on Saturday from somebody that I met at pickleball. So it just the community we have here is pretty special. And when I started playing, especially the city that I live in, it's called Simi Valley. It's like north of LA by 45 minutes or so, hour, just depending on traffic. But we had some ballers in this city early on. And the community, we had courts. We had, at that time, we have a place in my city that has 12 courts. And at that time, 5, 6 years ago, that was unheard of. Now there's places with 24, 36, maybe even 48. So like 12 is nothing now. But at that time, it was like an awesome place to play. And we had that in my city. So my city also really makes it easy to play pickleball. So I think all that together is kind of why I still play today.
You mentioned earlier that you were playing tennis just right before you discovered pickleball. So was pickleball irritating to you? Was it bugging you as a tennis player? And do you think it's what the tennis players are doing right now to pickleball is legit?
Um, well, when I played tennis, I just played for like 3 or 4 times. So I wasn't like a tennis player by any means. So
Okay.
pickleball didn't bug me. I didn't even know what pickleball was. But what do you mean as far as like what tennis players are doing to pickleball players, like as being legit? What do you mean by that?
Uh, I guess it's just obvious right now. There are a lot of tennis players not happy with their spaces being utilized by pickleball players all the time. The
Oh, I
sound
see.
to some
Um,
people is unpleasant.
I think I suppose tennis players have a right to be upset. I mean, if I were a tennis player and I would go to the courts and now it's overran by pickleball players, I'd be like, oh man, that sucks. But I think that there's an opportunity for us all to play. That probably means more pickleball courts, maybe even more tennis courts. But I know that's not always possible in certain cities. But I mean, ideally, the solution is just for everyone to get along. I could see how the sound of a pickleball could be irritating. Like even I think as much as I love pickleball, I don't know necessarily if this would matter if I was a tennis player, but if I had pickleball
Mhm.
across the street from me, as far as noise goes, and I heard it every morning and every night, I don't know if I would be the happiest person. I mean, I love pickleball, but I don't necessarily love that sound from 7 a.m. to 11, and then again from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I think they have reasonable gripes. I think communities have reasonable gripes, and I think hopefully we just, as this sport evolves, continue to find solutions that are beneficial to as many people as possible.
My only message to the tennis community will be that vandalizing pickleball courts is not the solution at all.
Definitely not. For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I think now that you mention it, I think you're right. Something recently happened in California, Santa Monica. I think some arsons, like they like burned some pickleball courts or burned equipment. I don't know exactly what happened, but I don't think it ever no one ever said that those were tennis players. It could just be vandals. I mean, who really knows who would do
Yeah.
that? But yes, you're absolutely right. That's certainly not the solution. Nor would I want pickleball players doing that to tennis equipment. I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
And of course, it isn't much of a big conflict to get even cops involved in, because there have been cases, and it's even been on the news that
Yeah,
tennis players are being troubled by pickleball. So it just looks kind of dumb and childish to me that both of these
very.
communities, both of these are great and they're fighting over some stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think as pickleball has more of a place, and um, I think as pickleball has more of a legit claim as a sport, I think maybe that also possibly help tennis players recognize, all right, this sport isn't going anywhere. Let's see if we could find an amicable solution that just makes sense for everyone. So hopefully it leans and trends that way
That's the best we can hope for.
for sure.
Um, so, Tyler, you say we wrap this up here, this episode?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, then. Thank you for watching, people. I had a great time with you, Tyler. Thank you for being here.
Dude, thanks for
And
having me. I'm excited to do this again.
oh, yeah, we are going to do it again for sure.
Perfect.
So, thank you for tuning in, people. This was me with Tyler Irvin. More episodes coming up. So, stay tuned in. Thank you. Yeah, bye.